So
You want to
Yeah.
it just, the marsh and the wooded areas are not unusable. They are usable, and in fact, one of the things that survey respondents really valued was the natural space. And so I think calling that out clearly in the table is a good thing.
I would say I appreciated your initial thought of leaving this table as Cassie's changed, but clearly footnoting how much of that land is being considered unusable. I think it needs to be clear.
So going back to the original table, making it clear that it's, I don't really love the word unusable, frankly, because
It's not unusable. It's just how much space is, can be used for programmed activities, I guess.
I guess that's also the difference in perspective that we're bringing to this, and I know you've brought that a lot,
Right.
that this is about somehow programming,
Uh-huh.
and I don't see our charge just about programming.
Mhm.
I see it as kind of an assessment of Getty.
Mhm.
So,
Overall,
yeah,
that's fine.
I definitely would like to have something in there that shows just the land use. It came from Eric's assessment, and
Mhm.
so I wouldn't be opposed to having both, but
Mhm. I'm fine with both, too.
Having it as Cassie's changed with something saying undeveloped and natural.
no, the original land use breakdown that Eric provided to us.
Right.
And then maybe a different view, another way of looking at this in terms of something other than space available for use, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have made the point that we should have, we don't want to be building things willy-nilly or.
Not building, walking.
Yes, but so that, the open area that is currently being used is a subset of the total. As long as we get across that point,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what was there before, but there was a line. Maybe we make it up, or maybe we highlight it, that there is an area.
This
But-
has all the markup, all the edits in it.
Oh, here, yeah.
It had the first sentence in the paragraph as a row in the table, which we could go back to. And then,
Okay. Well, maybe you and I can just
Yeah.
finalize this. Okay,
that'd be good.
offline. Great, but we get it.
Great suggestion.
Okay. My next thing is page 17 on the original.
On page 14 of the original, 30 of the packet, the bullet about the toilets, is that,
Bill.
did I miss that before?
No, Bill added it.
Yeah, so there is a whole section on, in our zoning laws about campgrounds. And so I was surprised to see that. I put it in with actually a note saying, you know, I just lifted that directly from zoning. We don't. It does give some guidance on how big the bathrooms should be for the number of people.
Do we know the implications? Ray, maybe we could talk later about the implications of this zoning rule on the size of the toilets we're talking about.
Sure.
Thanks.
The very specific gendered toilets.
It's very old world.
It is. It's very old world. Okay. So, Cassie recommended omitting some of the details in some of the charts. So I had put in, I forget what this one. This is the pavilion rental numbers. I mean, does anyone care? Leaving them or omitting them?
I was looking at it for consistency because we didn't do it for some of the, like, we don't have like the campground, you know.
Yeah, I
look at the
added for tents,
financial.
but I think we could take it out for tents.
Right.
And we have a whole financial section.
Right.
Yeah.
So either it goes in financial or it could go in an appendix, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just back on zoning, I had made that change from campgrounds to clarify. I know you guys, I think you spoke about it last week, or last meeting. A tract of land
Yeah.
that includes a campground
Yeah.
is, so that's okay.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
accepts it. Okay.
Is there a reason we shouldn't? Is there something like that?
No, I
was
mean, I
the-
put that in and I didn't know if people accepted it or
Yeah.
not. Got it.
Silence is golden.
Exactly. So omit these charts on dollar figures, data. I added page 17. So I had added, not in a very elegant way, but there's just a placeholder on tent camping that Ray had given me. We can take that out.
Sorry, but I thought the subsequent conversation that you two just had is that we put all that stuff, make sure that the financial section covers it.
Or it could be in the appendix.
Even better.
Okay. All right. I'm next on page 27.
Just before that, and I didn't add the note, but on, I think it's this part of the revenue operating cost overview on page 22.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to look at the 2005. I think we should mention how much revenue the park has generated over the last 9 years, and include how much the town has actually invested
Yeah, that's a great point.
in the park during that period.
Can you give me that? Can you
Yeah.
just send me that?
Well, I don't have those numbers. Ray, I think you had provided that possibly to us in the past, but if you could just resurface that and provide it to us or me, I'll put it in.
Yeah. Did you have it in your slides at one point that you did the financial analysis?
I don't think I had the
No.
breakout of actually
Okay.
how much we had invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that over to everyone.
Okay.
It's a,
Thank
great addition.
It's a great.
I thought, in Bill's last notes, it was across 5 years, I think, and that was interesting to see it that way, but the 9 years, I think, would be important to include.
Yeah, I mean, we're showing the 9 years here, so if we could do the total investment, because I don't know when
Great.
certain things were done, gatehouses, et cetera. Thanks.
Good. Okay. I just wanted to thank you, Cassie, for doing the summary of the
Mm-hmm.
community input, and we will update it again based on the other things we've gotten from Patsy and from Steve Meredith and from Flan, if she's put in that letter, and Chris, and
I really like this section.
yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll have one more update for the final report. Anything?
So, I mean, I was going to bring this up later, but we have talked over the course of our meetings about stuff that's out of scope.
Yeah.
Right now, there are three things that stand out. community activities and
Yeah.
events, dog policy, and other revenue generating ideas. I had been planning on drafting up a couple of paragraphs to cover that, but I just wonder if the best place for it now is right here. It's stuff that we're not actually picking up recommendations for because we don't perceive that to be, I mean, dog policy is a big deal for more than just Fort Getty. Besides, it's the third rail of Jamestown politics. But I could just craft a couple of paragraphs to fit in here. Yeah, okay. Did anybody think there are other things that would go on that list of things that we've thought were out of scope of our action that we want to acknowledge in passing in the report?
Well, I don't know if this falls quite into that, but I was thinking along the financial lines that in the 2005 report did this huge analysis of possible need for investment, all of the thoughts that they had put forth and what it might cost. I don't have a way of gauging what that is, but I do think I raised the question: should we put a list of potential capital improvements that we are discussing in, either as an appendix or someplace in the report?
So surfacing what
address that.
what that comes out of the recommendations.
Because there's a bunch of areas that will need investment and that we have suggested. I don't have a way of quantifying how much it would cost.
Yeah, and I don't think it's at all part of our scope or charge. But we could see what that looks like.
We do mention in the report, but it would go in this section, is the CRMC restrictions and the touch and go dock. So I think that would go in that section with out of scope.
Okay, yes, touch and go dock would be one. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, is this electrical issue out of scope that you've raised?
I'm sorry?
The electrical issue that is, bringing electricity to Getty, is that feels, when I read that letter, I thought this is clearly an Ed Mello zone, and it
Yeah.
felt a little outside of our scope.
I think we just need to ask that it get done so that we can move forward. If we're going to move forward or recommend moving forward on building pedestals,
Yeah.
we have to know what it's going to cost us. They need to know. Well, of course, the town needs to know.
So we made a recommend, or elsewhere we have a sentence that says the town should contemplate doing a road traffic analysis. And it feels like we ought to surface the fact that, although we've heard estimates around upgrading the pedestals and the on-park electrical system, we recommend the town looks more broadly at not just inside the park, but the distribution system to it. And then I think we covered it, yeah?
As far as the electric at Fort Getty and what we're supposed to do, I would say we would like to have the electric upgraded. What happens after that is not our choice. The town may come back and say, it's too expensive, but we shouldn't be looking into that. We were told it's going to be $500,000. We take it at its word. Otherwise, we will line itemize everything. If there's a bathroom, we're going to say, well, what kind of bathroom? What kind of toilet paper? What are we going to do with this? I just think we've proposed the ideas of what we were asked to do. And if it's beyond the scope of the town or the financial purposes, then they'll ignore it, just like they did in the 2005 and some of the other surveys. We promote something, but I don't think we should be overanalyzing the electric. If the electric is an issue, Ed will find out, and the neighbors will find out, and then the town will move forward next. But I don't think we need to overanalyze everything. We just set our purposes ahead and then see where they fall. Because we'll be here until August or September if we keep going that route.
I agree, Rich. It's just, as you pointed out, what can we decouple and get the town to start moving on? That seems to be singled out as a key component, and we need that. The town needs that information.
Yeah,
That's the
they
only
need
reason
it.
it's singled
I don't think I feel like it's a little overreach. I'm not opposed because I don't think it matters, really. They'll do it or they won't. But it feels overreach to me.
But we just have to give them an idea of the range. To me, if you're going to have 50 to 75 or 60 to 75, and then the numbers will fall. It's like building a house. You may say, I want 3 bedrooms, and then find out it's too expensive, and you drop down to 2 bedrooms. I just say we give our recommendations and move on.
Do you guys feel strongly?
I just,
Do you
all
feel
I'm asking-
strongly? Do you say yes or no? Let's just
Yes.
vote on it. Yes?
Yes.
Yes or no? You want to keep it in there?
I just proposed a sentence that says your problem, but.
About the
I'm happy to-
electrical,
I'm happy to-
the electrical
I'm happy
assessment.
to abandon that.
Okay, I vote against it. This is like just a straw poll thing, so.
Oh, I just say we move forward with our recommendation and not look for estimates on everything.
Okay. So that's 3, and we can put it in the other things outside our scope recommendations.
So we're not going to ask Ed for a, okay.
It'll be there in maybe outside our scope, but I think he's going to do it. It just feels like a little overreach. Okay.
My take from that conversation is it's in the out-of-scope paragraphs that I'm
Yeah.
writing. There's a sentence about it. And
Yeah.
we're done. Okay.
Perfect. My final thing is on 28 of this, which is, do you think we need this section on areas of opportunity and limitations? I started it because it was what was in the last report, and I liked it there, but it feels a little repetitive. I don't know. Page 28 of mine.
All right, okay.
What's,
It's
29.
45 of the packet and 29 of what was sent
got
out.
it. All right. Areas of opportunity. Okay.
I mean, I don't think it hurts. It just makes it longer.
It adds a page.
Yeah.
I like it. It is duplicative. Almost everything else has been said somewhere else.
Yeah, it seems duplicative, I think.
I just think it's nice.
Okay. Great. Anything else for that first section? All right, so then we'll move on to the draft goals and recommendations.
Right now, we're in a different document, right?
Yeah, I think she started maybe with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she started with policy options. I don't think that's where you're going now.
No, I'm not. Next one. There you go.
Thank you.
What page?
7 of the pack.
Okay. Anything on adopt the planning principles? Any language changes? Should we go ahead and vote on these as we go to approve, or?
Probably.
Okay.
Tom?
This is number 2. Keep going.
Okay. All right, fine, page 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve the first recommendation, which is adopt the planning principles?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The next one is clarify Fort Getty identity.
I move we approve it as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Number 3,
I move-
enhance.
I move we approve item 3.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Hmm.
Expand opportunities. We still will need to add language here, so maybe we'll just defer this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Renovate and expand bathroom facilities. Is everyone okay with what's recommended here, which is moving, I guess, eliminating the upper bathroom, renovating or rebuilding the lower bathroom and having showers at a tent bathroom and at the lower bathroom and adding a ramp bathroom. The one thing here is Cassie has recommended having a sink or something at the at the bathroom near the ramp.
Yeah, we heard that park users would benefit from a sink or some kind of like outdoor shower area at closer to the boat ramp. So I wasn't sure if we should include that in our recommendations, but
I'm nervous about a sink becoming a fish cleaning station.
that would be to keep
So
it out
I
of the
would-
bathrooms though too.
I would avoid that. I mean, look, if you give somebody a hose, okay,
Yeah.
that feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think maybe having access to water through a hose might be better, especially, I understand that now the RV campers especially take their trailers, their boats up to part of the campground and hose them down, and maybe there's a better place to do that.
So that area that's marked up in red will just change to access to water such as through a hose.
So, I suppose in a world of abundance, we don't need to worry about this, but that comment, if people are washing their boats and trailers down in the summertime, when we have drought rules, it's a problem.
I would agree.
We don't know if this is true.
Okay?
I mean, this is one focus group of one.
That's a very fair comment. But when I suggested even the hose, that was my first concern, which is how do we possibly control how much water runs out of that hose over the course of, even unintentionally, right?
Right.
I mean, I can't get my kids to turn off the hose tap, but so I don't know.
Good point.
There has to, we probably ought to make sure that, I'm sure it can be worked out very simply by other people who are thinking about how to implement it. Having some water there is a good idea. Let's keep that.
Richard?
I like the idea of keeping the bathrooms for one. Water would be nice, but I don't know if if it would stop the bathroom renovations, then I leave it out. Yeah. I'd like to go ahead and get all the bathrooms, and it may be an add-on, excuse me, next to one of the bathrooms, but if it's going to hold up the upgrades, I think we should leave it out. So.
Cassie, can you just say a little bit about what your intent is? Because I thought also about the fish cleaning, and I understand you want to bring it outside the bathroom as
Right.
opposed to inside the bathroom.
Right.
But should we allow for it at all? Should people take their fish and go? Or, I mean, do we want to set, is that what you're thinking, fish?
Right. I was just thinking about how people were using the bathroom sinks and, what's needed. And we did hear that people would like some way to rinse off down by the water, down by the boat ramp. But if we think it's not needed or necessary, that's fine.
Maybe we just put some consider language with that intent, considering what we heard about how things are currently being used, to consider ways to perhaps provide this that's water efficient and something. Okay.
I wouldn't recommend fish cleaning.
I think it's going to happen regardless. Right, we want them to take their fish and go.
Yeah, take them and go.
Could be no fish cleaning.
That's right.
Well, that's a policy.
So should we just eliminate it or not go down that road?
Yes, perhaps. You know,
Okay.
Cassie.
All right. So with that piece amended, are people comfortable with this section? So
Move to approve item 5 as amended.
okay.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, we'll have to defer on 6 and 7, policies and
Yep.
configuration.
Yep.
Moving to number 8, upgrade electrical and water service. I'm going to omit the from Bill section.
I move we approve that as it's drafted, and the strike through you just did.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Okay,
Move
this
we-
one is probably, we'll probably have to defer to. Improve organization, traffic flow, and parking, unless we want to work through some of these right now. Like particularly some of the language I put in from Eric, develop a perimeter loop, turnaround. Should we wait till we actually have a little bit more on our preferred configuration, or?
Yeah.
Well, I think they could use a study on the main road if they're going to want to change for the future. I would do a number count to where the projected or proposed turnaround is for CISF on that road, and then another one further down near the ramp so you can distinguish CIS users from the ramp users. So you get an idea how many people are really heading down past CISF for just the ramp, if CISF is having their turnaround right before their shop and their drop-off is there.
So before we make any recommendations on specifics, to recommend the traffic study?
The road pattern may change, like you said, to clarify 90-degree angles and all of that. But I just wonder with the true traffic numbers that aren't CISF that are using the ramp. So if you have a number count, if they just put the wires on the road and count the numbers for the month of July, you'd get an accurate count of usage of the ramp and waterfront area down there on the north end.
Go ahead.
I'm comfortable with this section 10 down to the point where it talks about the traffic study. Thereafter, I would strike it for at least in what I'm about to propose. I think that a traffic study, because we know none of this work is going to happen over the summer anyway, we may as well use the summer to do a traffic study while it's peak traffic and we see what happens. And having said those two things, I think 10 is fine.
Inclusive of the traffic study.
Yeah.
And then did you see 10 continues to the next page where we talk about design standards?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is where I said, are we talking about dog dirt as well?
Right.
But I saw somewhere else it's been included, so I'm fine.
I mean, there's some rough language in there at the moment that I would just need to clean up a little bit, but nothing that would substantively change in terms of signage.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a motion to approve number 10, improve organization, traffic flow, and parking?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
Roll call. Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, number 11, assess and interpret Fort Getty historic assets. It's not 100% done, but
What do we mean by the clear/make safe and it's accessible World War II fortifications? I mean, I was quite comfortable with it before.
okay, I'll just take that out. It was just some language from some of Eric's materials that I put in there.
So you were just talking about the crow's nest. Remind me what the CRF structure is?
I have no, what's the CRF structure?
Thank you. Okay. I would include those as sort of EGs or suggestions for considerations. I mean, we don't know what the plans are for those, right? And those are some things that could be done at relatively low cost, we perceive relatively low cost and reasonable impact. So I like calling them out as EGs. I just didn't really get what you were trying to do there.
And this is where I think you had very specific language, Cassie, about either cleaning up or...
Right, so I think the state they're in now is not appropriate. They either should be improved or just like buried or like made in a state where they cannot be used. So I think just right now they're not in a condition that people should be accessing them or so they're just, I mean, this recommendation we're saying that that it should be assessed and possibly improved.
Cassie, when you say that, do you mean they're unsafe, or they're ugly, or they're crumbling?
I mean, all of the above.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
So I think, I mean, in some ways, we haven't really dug in on what we think should happen. I mean, there are options from the places we visited, like Fisherman's, where they covered it over.
right.
So I think we're recommending something be done with it. I don't think we are saying what it should be. It's kind of one of those remaining things they need to be addressed. At the very least, do some interpretive, historic. Yeah, John?
Yeah, pretty much I agree with that. I mean, I could tell you, though, I wouldn't mind it if they put two picnic tables on top of Battery Whiting tomorrow, because it must be safe. Otherwise, we would have gotten rid of the access. Every handrail I've been on hasn't flexed. I mean, the point is, it's okay. Some people will say it's not safe. I don't feel it's unsafe. But is it crumbling? Yeah. Is it pretty? No. But it's usable, and the view is great.
Do we want to say ensure safe access?
Right, or assess this, safety. So the safety issue for me comes from the incident in Newport where, right, so a historic structure had crumbled with people using it and it had not been assessed and people got hurt. And then here in town at Battery Park, the structures there were rehabilitated so they would be safer. We've not done that at Fort Getty with these structures. So, you know, it is unclear how safe or not safe they are. They've not been assessed. And I would just say we either need to do one or the other.
Okay, I think that's very fair. I would recommend, though, that we not keep everything covered with brambles, or rather we avoid clearing them because we're not sure that they're safe or not. You know, I'd make some of them accessible. They're already accessible, but you have to try bloody hard. And
Yeah.
the point is, we're heading towards a path that we want to try to use them.
Can we do it in that order of number one, assess basic safety? I mean, that it's not going to crumble underneath your feet.
Sure. Right.
And then provide access. And third, it could be beautification, but those two things are the most important. First, make sure it's safe, then
Right.
clear it for access.
Great.
Could you work on the language, or could we work on the language before we vote on that?
Sure. Yep. I'm happy to do that for the next. Or if someone wants to. I'm happy for someone else to do it too. I mean, it's not hard, so I'm happy to do it. If it's hard, I don't want to do it. Okay, number 12 is the storage facility. I don't know if we just want to say, create a small utility equipment, something, or if we just wait until we actually know what we want to say here.
As far as
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I would wait on that until we figure out the Lot 22 design.
Okay. Great.
Good idea.
So number 13, governance and operations.
So I know we talked about this a couple meetings ago, but, you know, there's this question of whether there's a specific Fort Getty Advisory Council or a general Parks and Rec Department advisory group. There's overlap, so I'm not sure which direction we want to go in with that. I put that in here as a note.
Yeah, I was favoring if we're going forward with a standing committee, which I actually think makes sense, that it could make sense to have a broader gamut to Parks and Recreation.
I mean, I'm comfortable just putting it in that there's an interest in some kind of governance and they can figure out what would make the most sense.
That's probably
That
a
makes
good way of
Yeah.
approaching it.
Okay, so the way, let's see, the way it's written basically with the addition, or a general Parks and Rec Department council?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about this addition? Maybe it's in, this is one that's sort of stuck in here. I don't know if it should be in a different section, but the, include removal of unnecessary concrete slabs and roadways. I mean, I like putting that in there,
Right.
but maybe it should be under maintenance. I don't know. I have stuck it in the wrong place, maybe.
Where is that?
Well, in listening to
Oh, it's on page 7, sorry.
the last meeting, Rich, you made the point that when you talk about maintenance, you're talking about cleaning up a lot of the concrete slabs that are unused, and so that's, I was getting at that, at the unused roadways and concrete slabs need to be addressed. And it's part of an ongoing maintenance schedule perhaps, but when we talked about maintenance, we weren't really talking about that.
And that was number 9. We skipped it. Sorry about that. On page 6 of the original, number 9 is strengthening ongoing maintenance and investment.
So I added the word investment because
Yeah.
I think, right, there's effort and financial investment that, like, it's more intentional, and maintenance is just ongoing. So.
Right, so as long as the concepts are in there.
Yeah. I mean, this is, Richard, do you want to speak to that? Since I think it started with you, the concrete slabs, and were you talking all over the park?
Well, I was talking all over the park because when you drive in, it looks run down. But I think every year, certain areas ought to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Just to get rid of some of the concrete pads. I'm not even sure you could refurbish them. I guess the ones that you would have to leave, but maybe get rid of the curbs are the ones where the boats are parked, where it looks like the snow storage areas broke down all the curbing on the edges of that. But I think
Can
we need
add
to
and or
continue.
cleanup, so maybe include removal and or cleanup of, because I know some of those things that are used for parking now that are falling apart.
Yeah.
They may not want to take those out because it may trigger a bunch of other CRMCs.
Yeah, because that's CRMC, but you need to clean up the curbs on, or rebuild them so that they don't drive off the back. But all of the other thing, the old steps, depending on where they are, may be usable, but there's just concrete remnants everywhere that are breaking down.
And this goes back to safety and liability. I mean, I think investing in maintenance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, isn't something that should be done.
So what about this portion of revenues? I know this has been brought up by a number of you, that having some kind of allocation either from the stickers or from Fort Getty revenue. I mean, we can recommend it. I'm sure if it's not beneficial for the town to do this, they're not going to do it.
I like the idea.
You do?
Well, it could also fund, instead of having the council go every budget process to say, I want to do something at the soccer field, or I want to do something here, maybe extend a bike path or street. At least they have some revenue coming in where they might not even have to address every rec improvement that they want to do. And that way we can keep pressure on Fort Getty to be maintained. If they have to keep looking for money, it's always going to be stalled.
That's right. I agree.
I would just change, there's this would remove the need to seek bonds. Maybe this could, this may.
Reduce.
Reduce, right, reduce is better. And then trash receptacles. This, as amended, number 9. Look good?
Mm-hmm.
I move we approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Bill Sammons?
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. And then
We were at 13.
13.
I recommend we hold the whole, we take the whole thing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bill Sammons, this is 13, Bill.
Okay, aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
chair votes aye. All right, so we're through that. And obviously, we're going to have a whole report, so there's not, if anyone has changes at the end, we can do that.
Nice.
I think we can move to the next one pretty quickly. I mean, I say this, but I know, only because we've litigated it a lot, and I'm going to lose, so.
It's nice when you enjoy your work.
What's that?
It's nice when you enjoy your work.
Yeah, right. So this is the policies document. If I can find it.
Page?
One in the pack. Oh, sorry. Page 3 of the pack.
So also in the packet, there was page 51 from the town of Jamestown, and it was Fort Getty Park policy review considerations. Was that, I was unclear where that.
So that was something that the staff gave their comments on,
Okay,
on policies.
Where is that? 51.
That's- sorry, 1 second.
Oh, yes.
It's on page 51
Yep,
of the
got it.
packet. It's on town letterhead.
Yeah, there were some good suggestions there. I don't know if we want to address those now or.
I'm not sure if
the
that's
future.
related to this part or not.
On that page, I have one question there, talking about limiting the people that can visit the RV sites with their passes, to possibly limit it to 2, unless I'm misreading it, so that RV campers don't overcrowd the park. I was just curious on how many times it's happened, but if we're worried about just the RV campers crowding the park, we're kind of showing favoritism to other parts of the park. If anybody else showed up with 6 cars, there's no talk about turning them around. It just seems like they're, or maybe it's, we shouldn't give any one group more entitlement than the rest. If the campers, or if the park is full and you want to reduce parking, then you need to reduce car entry all the way along, unless I misread that line item.
No, I guess my preference is to maybe table this to the next meeting.
Okay,
Could we do that?
yeah.
People comfortable? I haven't really focused enough on this, and maybe we just need a whole, I was thinking yesterday I focused on just this one set of policies when we've touched on these, and we definitely want to think about.
Well, there was another part too that so this is just RVs, and we did talk about like whole park policies that I think Ray said he was currently working on. So, I mean, I think that's important too to include in our policy discussions.
Okay. So do you want to work with Ray on that for the next meeting?
Okay.
All right, that would be great. Good. All right, so the options, this is policy options for RV campers and what this group would suggest to the town. So there are, I guess, 4 here. And I'm going to speak on just the status quo piece. I am in favor of keeping what we have. I think that the distribution of how it is shaken out based on the information that Bill got from the town was really worthwhile seeing. And I had one of the things I've loved about this process is that I've gone back and talked to people that have been part of the town for 50 years and have been part of town and Parks and Rec administration. So at some point I called like Bob Sutton, and I wanted to know, what was the deal? How were the policies originated when from the beginning of the campground? And he said, oh, God, that was more than 50 years ago. You know, I think people just started camping there. And then one summer they just kept showing up until they couldn't show up anymore. It was all full. And then we figured that we needed to have some kind of policy. And so they really wanted to be able to come back. And we thought that there was value in having that community who was already committed to Jamestown and have an interest in Jamestown. So they solidified that. And then I checked with Matt Bowles, who was head of Park and Rec in the 90s. And I said, you know, I can't really see the origin of these policies. Can you tell me how you thought about this? And he said, we just didn't want too much transient. We wanted to make sure we couldn't manage it. We're a small team, and we wanted to have individuals who knew Jamestown, who were loyal to Jamestown, and who wanted to be here. And even as other newer people were coming in off the wait list, that there was this stable force. And that was very persuasive to me, and it's also why I love Fort Getty. It's not just a campground to me. It's a community that comes in the summer. I grew up in Shoreby Hill. There was a community that came in the summer. Fort Getty came at the same time. So I'm all for status quo, for the stability of it, for the lack of staffing needed. So that's where I stand.
So I think the difference is in perspective, whether we're viewing this as revenue generating in a business, or if we're, you know, considering the people and, you know, the population that comes all the time. And I don't know. I mean, I think in the survey, you know, we heard that the revenue generation is very important. And so, you know, that changes our perspective a little bit, I think.
But what does if you're coming back for the 10th time or you're coming for the first time, doesn't change revenue?
Well, because you view it differently. If it's revenue, it is, you know, we are like giving out portions of our town land for others to use. And so do we view that differently than our commitment? Or, well, I guess it's in tandem with our commitment to the people there too. I don't know. It's just different perspectives on
Totally.
how.
I'm just making the case for mine. Does anyone want to make a case for theirs?
Yeah, I just, you know, in terms of status quo, I believe we've all been charged with addressing and challenging the status quo. And in fact, exactly the history you just provided is totally seeable. When you go to Fort Getty, what we have is the town has allowed a sprawl of RVs up to 105, and then decided, well, that's a little bit too much to maintain, so we're going to cut it back. So we're cut it back to 75. But literally, we just have allowed the sprawl to continue. There's all, you know, we just emptied some sites in between. There's been no investment. And so we're coming to a point where we're looking at what is the existing situation.
Yeah.
And it's a very, it's an unorganized situation. So either we decide to get rid of the campground, which none of us.
So we're talking just about the policies for reservations.
Policies for reservation. I think that we have to look at if this is a benefit to people, how do we provide that to more people and make it fair? Now, it's been great for the town and for the residents to have this kind of RV monopoly, but it's been a monopoly, and it's been taken as a right and not as a privilege. It is a privilege, and I think that if we can organize it in such a way to allow for a steady turnover, not a churn. I hate that word, and it's we in my suggestion, we're allowing Jamestown residents to continue to remain there, to re-up every year. Between that and having the people that exist and stay for whether it's 7 years, that starts providing some real continuity. And then I think it's a matter of, do we allow new renters to rent for 3 years or 5 years? But I think that going with the term approach and putting some numeric parameters that we don't have to decide right now, but we put in parameters. People have suggested different numbers, and I think that would be an approach to recommend.
Anybody want to talk about the lottery?
I'm sorry, that is a situation of the power of words. And I think in one of my first iterations, I mentioned a lottery. I tried to get the Jamestown Press to pull that word. We don't need a lottery. We have a waiting list. So I would scrap lottery.
Thank you.
Okay.
Marissa, I do think that in this context, status quo is very narrow. However, it's pretty easy to interpret it in a much more broad sense, and we have a lot of recommendations that change the status quo. In this document, it refers to how do we manage the wait list and how long people can stay. Personally, I'm comfortable with what you've proposed, with the exception that I would allow people to renew 9 times. 7 times, 9 times, I don't know.
Okay, so
But the
you're
point is-
actually in number
but-
C.
But the point is, okay, I think, it's not that I want to change the way things work, only that they don't work in perpetuity that way. And I think we heard in our last meeting that we may not have a wait list this year, or
Right.
it's a year.
That's why I think it's all working.
And so I think that it also suggests that if you put a term limit on, then you're probably in the position that, if everything's working, you officially roll off, you put your name on the wait list, and it clears. And so we may wind up in a situation where people can, in fact, have 52 years tenure, even though that's longer than since we started renting RV space. But it's not we don't find that we've got so many folks that we have a 10-year waiting list, right? That's the vernacular that we've been inherited. A lot of people would contest it, but the point is, by definition, you wouldn't have a long wait list if you had a term limit.
And I had been the one maneuvering around B, which I will, unless anyone opposes it, I will just take that off the table because it seems tough to manage. And it's what you're trying to get to is term limits anyway. So it's really between 2 now. So let's just vote. And for the term limit one, can we leave the number of 5, 7, or 10 to basically?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd prefer 10, but. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the status quo way of seeking reservations?
I like the status quo.
Okay, is there a second?
Probably not.
Second it, so we can vote on it. We have to vote.
Second.
Okay. Bill Sammons?
No.
Richard Smith?
Yes.
Cassie West?
No.
John Potter? No. And the chair votes yes. Okay. So then the other is option C, which is basically having a term limit from something ranging between 5 to 10 years. Okay. Is there a motion?
So
Is
moved.
there a second?
Second.
Okay. Bill Sammons?
Aye.
Richard Smith?
No.
Cassie West?
Aye.
John Potter? And the chair votes no. Great. All right. Yay, we're through this. Okay. The next item, I believe, is any public comment. Yeah. Kate. And because we have a very short time, I'm going to ask you to keep it to 3 minutes, please. Okay.
I have to say that it has been disappointing.
Just can you just say your name and your address?
Kate
Thank you.
Petrie, 1005 Fort Getty Road. It has been disappointing and frustrating to watch the committee's process and the lack of any exploration and imagination into other alternatives of the park, of what the park could be, and to satisfy the clear mandate from islanders for more open space and a retention of income. It feels like this has purely been about RV preservation, and there has been a bias towards that, Why are there no designs for a beautiful oceanfront park as an option? Where's the vision? Where are the financial analysis for new income streams of a different kind of park, not just an RV park? There are safety concerns to consider with an RV park, especially with CISF there now, and concerns about the impact of climate change, sea level rise, raising the road, cost involved. Have these things been taken into consideration as long-term expenses? The designs you have put forward do not serve the broad community of Jamestown. It's a trailer park for 70 families, essentially. That is what it is. Imagine a place with green, beautiful trees, space to roam, space to picnic, space to gather. Jamestown used to have Jamestown Days of 5,000 people that would come and enjoy the views, and it's like people don't go there anymore in the summertime. It has also become apparent that members of this ad hoc committee have family members and friends that have been campers over the years, which undermines the credibility of decisions put forward. The process has been biased from the start and has been a disservice to our island. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I did skip number 3, which, oh. No.
Gemma Craig, 265 Highland Drive. I was listening to the comments about stickers. I have a confusion, but I think with 150 potential cars, that there should definitely be a different color for resident stickers at Mackerel Cove. There's so much pressure down there for parking. So my idea is to have perhaps visitor parking, 4 or 5 spots at Hamilton, but I know for a fact walking from Fort Getty to the Mackerel Cove is the closest, so I think it should be left up for residents only. So I think taking 150 cars potential off the chart for Mackerel Cove would be one piece of advice I would give for the advisory board. And I was thinking, this is an advisory board, it's not a decision-making committee. And I don't feel that I was glad to see the survey, but there was not one question that was really clear of status quo, reduce, or eliminate. And I think as an advisory committee, there was enough empirical data in the survey that people want to see open space. People want to park. There are tons of people on this island that talk to me all the time about that. Is there any chance we could have a schematic done of what that dream could look like, even if it's a broad scope design, and say, this is what a park could be without 50, 70, 60, 10. If it was 10 Jamestowners, that's just very unfair. And I think we should look at it more diplomatically as a park for everyone. The people who, conceptual design from Beta or, whoever can come up with it, what could it look like? In terms of alternative revenue streams, I think we've never looked closely at that. I just looked at the pavilion rates, $33,000. I spoke to a wedding planner. She said visitors would pay in the range of 20 to 40 for one wedding. We cap it. I don't want to make it into a wedding factory, but why not have 20 to 40,000 for one wedding for visitors, and then obviously the Jamestown residents get it at the status quo, 1,200, which is great. It should be affordable. I don't think it should be a wedding factory. I just want to say that. I think a park needs to be looked at as a park for everyone, equal access. So when you're saying 50, 67, 75, 67, where are the expenses related? I like your analogy of if you're going to build a 3-bedroom house, you need to know per square foot. Are you going to do a 10-bedroom or a 3? So why are we not including the advice from your committee that we need cost? We need cost associated with a 50 amp. I think it was 13 years ago. It wasn't Landworks Collaborative, but there was a range of 1 to 3.5 million. That was a long time ago. So if you're presenting ideas of 50 or 75, the electric needs to be upgraded. We have a bond for 500,000, but the bond was not the mandate. This committee is not a mandate for the definition of the park. can we please explore other options and explore the financials? It's crazy to say, this is what we, 125 pages or whatever you've done, but if we're not asking for the financials, what are we doing? And I also want to see what's been spent on the water upgrades. It sounds like they're done. Was that done for reduction, moving, status quo? I just feel like the water, electric are the very basics. What is the insurance? What does the town pay for insurance? If we have a flood or a hurricane and we've got 75 families, 10, 50, whatever random number of lucky families that can be there, but what happens in a hurricane? Where are those numbers? So I'm just asking for a broader perspective. I'm asking specifically for a schematic for everyone to have equal access. It's become, the affordability of having an RV. They're massive. The gas costs a lot. I can't afford an RV. I would love to rent out there, but it's completely unfair, exclusive community. But what about our community of a broader picture? Could we please see something different at the advice of the committee that you've been, I don't think you guys.
Can I ask you to wrap it up, please?
Yep. In terms of the wait list, it just shows how random this whole is. Like, in perpetuity, 10 years, 5 years. It just seems, let's go back to the basics. How much is it going to cost to upgrade? Let's start there. Let's get a conceptual of a broad park design. My request. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? I'm going to ask you to keep it to like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I'm Sandy Sorleen, 82 Howland Avenue, lifelong Fort Getty explorer. And I just want to put in a few words on behalf of birds, birders, and people who just like seeing birds fly around. This is a very important place for birds. Just a couple days ago on eBird from Cornell, there was a long report of someone's, the different birds that they're spotting this time of year. It's really important. One of the early maps that was made here didn't even include the Kit Wright Trail in the acreage of the park. I see that that's been updated, so yay. But these trails that are a little bit hidden, some people don't even know about them, and I think they should stay a little bit hidden. I agree that that a handicapped boardwalk or something like that on Kit Wright would be fantastic. And so what I would urge you guys to do is, before any vegetation is cleared, planted, any of that, to have a consultant who's an ornithologist or otherwise a bird expert come and assess the habitat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alma.
Alma Davenport, 99 Clinton Avenue. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you all so much for the time and energy you've put into this. It is very important. I believe it's important to Jamestown, if for no other reason than to continue the diversity of the people that come here and are able to enjoy it, especially with the rising rents and et cetera. So there's diversity is one of the top reasons I am very invested in this project, without being up there. Secondly, when the last financial town meeting was held at the school, the first slide that was shown, I believe, was a poll that had been taken in 2004 as to what citizens thought is the biggest problem on Fort Getty. And it was bathrooms. And we're not hearing as much as I would like to see about that. I think that it's a win-win with the new electrical program that's being proposed, and I would hope that that be proposed for the entire park, not just certain parts of the park. And you've done a great job so far. I was really pleased to see the three, choices. So just keep going and make it as populist as you would like. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So the next item is communications received. Is there a motion to accept the two communications we received from Jill Harrison and then from Steve Meredith?
So moved.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bill Sammons,
Aye.
Richard Smith,
Aye.
Cassie West,
Aye.
John Potter,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The next item is just confirmation that our next meeting is the 19th, and what we do there will be largely determined by what we're able to complete here today. Okay?
I did want to
Yeah.
add something potentially for our next meeting.
Yes.
I did start looking into, we've heard about amphitheater or like some kind of space, and I did reach out to North Kingstown, and then they suggested something that led me to Providence Parks Department, but I did find out some information about how their outdoor stage space is used, and I talked to DPW about lessons learned from them, not putting a roof structure on. So I'm happy to type up my notes about this and send it around in time for our next meeting.
Okay. Great, thank you. We could also ask Fort Adams, who doesn't have anything but a big, huge lawn, and they bring in stages, so we could think about that.
Okay.
All right, the next is moving to the workshop, or our session with Eric. Bring your own mic.
Oh, right.
Test. Test. Hello. Matt?
So, so this is not working. Yeah? Okay. Hello, hello? Yeah?
Some of them are like a little weaker than others. I think that might be a little. There's this one.
Hello, hello.
That works.
All right, so committee.
Great.
We have two options here. We have 40 minutes, and what I was thinking that we would go through a set of kind of general things that we agree on and or don't agree on and do some voting, and then actually make some choices about the 4 schematics or the 4 plans and see if we can narrow those down. The other option is, I know Eric has also brought some things related to Fort Whiting. I kind of want to move forward and just get this as much done as we can in terms of making some decisions about the 50, 63, 70, 75. Yes? Okay. People agree? Okay. All right.
Well, I came with some specific ideas along those lines.
Okay.
So I don't know if,
Are you comfortable with this? And what part of this, what I was thinking is also asking questions about some of the things that came up in yours, things like the bike path, and just get a sense of where people are on these things?
no. Well, I mean, yes, you may do that, but there's so much in that original plan that keeps surfacing that I've changed. So it probably would be easiest, at least to start, if you don't mind, I have handouts that I could hand out. Basically, what I would like to do is go back to pick up from the last workshop when there was, at the end of it, discussion where, Eric, you were looking for points of common overlap, and specifically focusing on design 2.3 and talking about actually terracing B block, because it was common to all of our plans at that point. And I know plans have changed, and I wasn't here last time, but Rich had posed the idea at that point that perhaps we could come together around a schematic design that either could accommodate 50 or 63. So if you want to take a look at what I am proposing to get there, and we could take it the same way we did the term policy. We don't have to, focus on a number. So you let me know if
Well, why
you're
don't you hand them out and we can
Okay.
see? Because what I was going to do is kind of go through things like general planning principles that regardless of where we end up, we could at least communicate those to the town council.
Okay. Because you also had put forth the idea of a minority report, which I
Yes.
could do as well.
Right.
Do we want to provide, hold on, let me just provide this.
Bill, I just want to make, I was never one for 63. I was always bent to keep it status quo, just so
Right.
it's above. But
Okay.
thank you for putting these out.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
how long do you think you need? Because I do think we're going to end up in the same place. in
Give me
some way.
5 minutes.
Okay, you got it.
All right. So what this is what you've all seen at 2.3. There was some consensus around that, and specifically, it is showing terracing of that middle block, which is B block, and moving 10 down to the east. The issue I still have with this and the other plans put forth is that, well, one, it does change the roadway, which we don't necessarily have to do right away, but also it's providing this wall of RVs. And you can believe it or not, but I have talked to lots of people who feel that when they come to Fort Getty, they're hit with all of these RVs, and they don't feel comfortable. They feel like they're invading the space. So the second
Hang on, Bill. John has a question.
schematic Yes, I'm sorry? So the second schematic is my plan, taking out the bike path, taking out,
Okay. So
everyone's focused on trailer parking, I've taken that out. This is providing a couple of things that I think are quite important. One, expanding a lower parking area around that bathroom, and then having an upper parking area, and having the 50 sites.
okay. So
All right.
yeah, those are things that are also on my kind of voting list here.
Yeah, okay. So then, my suggestion on coming up with a schematic that we can generally agree on is the last slide here, where we simply fill in 13 sites, RV sites, alongside the upper parking and get to 63. So we've got a block of RVs. They are segregated. I know you have, I know it's come up that we're concerned about traffic congestion. I think we have agreed to ask for a traffic study. I think we will see how traffic flows with CISF, which is the big new change. And I would say that as much as it was initially shot down, I've gone back to walk it. It is possible, if this traffic pattern does not work, and you can see that what I've done with upper parking is just, you would drive up through and right into that upper parking lot. The upper parking lot, to me, when you go out to Beavertail, there are so many people out there taking in the sights. I really think that by coming up with a plan like this, where no matter what your age or a disability, you can get up to that upper parking and you can be looking out at the Dutch Island Lighthouse, the sunset, and this green parking space. So if this traffic pattern does not work, I think we could easily put 2 small roads in to totally segregate parking. One would be CISF comes up, you pull in to drop people off, and then you circle back down to the easternmost road. And it could come through, right after their 10 parking spaces. I don't think it interferes too much with the parking that we're planning there. And then put another short road from the lower parking, circle up around those trees into the upper parking. You would have people coming into the upper parking, never having to go through the RV park. So I'll rest it at that.
Great. Okay, so I have just kind of a series. I think that it would be great for us to be able to have a sense of some of these things and other things that we've talked about where we have some agreement, so that even as we go in, if there's not a clear sense, I think we do need to move to some sense, even if it's a 3-2 vote. Hopefully it's better than that, but some sense to give the town council a sense of direction of where the committee is, maybe a minority report on policies or on configuration, but to have a sense of the things that we do agree on. So I'm going to just do I don't think we need a motion for each of these. They're not binding, but just to get a sense from each of us of kind of where we are. So I think that one of the things that has come out is this idea of creating more perimeter public green space by consolidating RV camping. How do people feel about that? Is this something you're for or against? Bill Sammons.
4.
Richard Smith? 4. Cassie?
4.
John? 4. I am 4. Updating and standardizing the RV camp layout, the site layout, with landscape plantings, amenities, surface treatments, upgraded utilities. Okay.
4.
4, Cassie?
4.
Okay, John, 4, I'm 4. Reducing the amount of land allocated to RV camping, potentially reducing the number of RV campsites. Bill?
4.
Richard? Cassie?
4.
John? And I'm against. Eliminate certain roadways, that's kind of vague. I'm just gonna not, add or improve or realign roadways to improve vehicular circulation, boat ramp access, etc. Bill?
4.
It's Cassie, Richard?
I guess it depends on the layout, so I guess it's
Okay. Cassie,
4.
John,
4.
and I'm 4. Recommended utility building near lot 22? Do we know enough to recommend that yet? No? Okay. No, okay, so we won't do that one. Okay, these get to some of the more Bill Salmon's recommendations. RV camps, the RV campsites should be located to the east of the road. I don't know what we're calling that area.
You mean in the area B in the original map?
Yes,
that had all
area B.
Yeah.
Bill?
4.
Richard?
Yeah.
Should the RV campers be moved to the east, as Bill has just shown us on his recommendations to Area B?
So, sorry,
Yeah.
just to clarify, yeah, this is Fort Getty Road. We've been calling this Road 1, 2, and 3, and 4, just
Okay.
for simplicity. And so I think the main concept there is introducing RVs east of Road.
Right, east of Road
East
1.
of Road 1, so I don't know if that line.
right,
That-
okay.
Thank you, that helps.
But that's here.
Yeah.
So it'd be double here, so.
It would be down below,
Yeah, so
it would be there, will you
Like
draw
in
it?
the parking.
Right there, he's drawing it right there.
That's the parking.
This is CIS.
Sorry, I misspoke on you.
It's down.
Use, right, so this is Road 1, 2, we can call it
Yeah.
3,
So-
and 4.
So the area with the red, just call it G and we'll all know.
Yeah.
It's G
It's
that we're
G,
talking
we're
about.
calling
yeah?
that G.
A new, yeah, okay, got it.
And that has been, this is from 2005.
Right.
105 sites, and there was a whole bunch of RVs right there.
Yeah,
We
Right.
talked last time about how they were doing perk testing there too, in that area.
Right.
I
Yes.
might have missed that.
Is that,
okay, so
Really?
Richard is for it, Richard is against it, Bill Salmons is for it, Cassie, do you?
Against.
Okay,
Against.
and I'm against. Should there be a dedicated drop-off loop road for CISF? Or a dedicated drop-off for CISF? Do we know what to say yet?
Well, I don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah.
I think we need a flow that keeps them from, that allows them to get in and out relatively cleanly.
Okay,
But I don't know, we need a new road,
Well, you got to know if you took the left at the entrance.
right?
If you took that left to make that
Uh-huh.
drop off, that way the kids aren't getting dropped off with boats and trailers going by or anybody else.
Right,
So we'd make
I
that a
agree,
drop-off.
I agree. That's not a new road.
so some kind of dedicated drop-off, we don't have to say what it is. Maybe it's a road, maybe it's just,
well, they have a dedicated drop-off. I mean, it's there now. You can see where where they're planning to pull over.
okay.
Um,
Again, we don't need to
yeah.
agree on this, this is not for the, just getting a sense of things. There should be a new road at the north side of Battery Tussar, dead ending at the large parking lot at the top of the ridge.
So that was a question I had in response to Bill's
Right.
earlier sketch. I think
Right.
Your new sketch, so if you look at page 3 of what Bill distributed, that road's, you don't have a
The road's
separate
not
road.
there.
Yeah, you don't have a
Correct.
separate road.
So my thought is that, until we get a traffic flow study done, I think that can be a second phase. But it does, if our point is to segregate traffic flows, we can have 3 distinct traffic flows by doing that.
I'm not adverse to the concept at all. What I don't really like is putting a car park on the top of the hill. I mean, I like that area of grass.
I'm with you. I don't want to have parking up there.
So when I think about parking, I think about accessing things. So that's why, like having it down below is access to, it's overflow for the pavilion, and like if we want people to use the beaches, I think there should be parking closer to the beaches. We talk about boat parking and, not making things so far away. So I think about those things when we talk about parking. So I don't know that putting parking up high is going to provide access, closer access to, who would that be for? What would it be used for?
I would just comment that it's, by parking up there, you have full access to the entire park for walking. And it is not a long walk if it is overflow for the pavilion. But also, as you can see, I eliminate the perimeter road. And I know you all discussed last time a lot of parking along the perimeter road. So the question is, well, where are you going to put the parking? And so that does provide parking without having I mean, that just, to me, kind of messes up all of the open spaces to be pulling up and parking along that road.
I'm not sure if we need to truly address a parking lot up at the top, near the trees on the top of Fort Tassard. If we're gonna have the main parking down in Lot G, and there was some talk last week now of boat parking either in the corner of C and D, I think you could leave the road there, leave it grass, and if you wanted to be a little lenient with the park program, pull your car off to the side and walk. I don't think we need to set land aside for parking, because we're gonna have all of G, we're gonna have parts of D, parts of C. So I would say if the town, depending on how they wanna look at it, is if you have one or two cars pulled over and they're just walking into the grass from there, and they're not blocking the road, I don't see where that would be an issue, because it probably happens already, and it's not an issue. But I hate to see a designated parking area put aside up there.
So we did talk last time too about how this new layout does, it is very parking heavy. So each site has 2 spots now, and we have the big overflow parking area. So it's just, something to consider. And then there was a proposal that plans for connecting walking trails, and so
Right.
you would be able to park in the overflow parking down below, and then be able to access the trails around the whole park with the way the new plan, this plan is.
Right. Yeah, I just, having gone to Fort Getty recently, a number of times this winter, that's where everyone parks. Right in that upper, a lot of people for
well,
walking dogs, they're
right.
parking right up there.
Right, because they can.
because
But
they
it's
can.
not,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, and we haven't really gotten into, well, what's the.
because it's not
parking-
organized.
What's the
right.
parking need to look like?
Right.
It may be a grass
Right.
spot with telephone poles around it is
Right.
enough. Doesn't have to be a real fancy
But I think
parking lot, anyway.
the idea is, it seems like there's more consensus around it having the parking be in G, where you can also pick up a trail.
So this is the trail
Got it, right. Which is-
system,
Yep.
trail system.
If I could comment on
Yeah.
a little bit, large surface lots are probably, or are more challenging relative to stormwater and managing stormwater.
Mhm.
And so, one of the things that we were proposing, whatever the configuration, to Bill's point, it does rely on there being an exterior circulation road. But these shapes here, and we're suggesting could be parking, however it's configured. There'll be nose-in parking with reinforced turf, it would just be grass rather than a parking lot. And so it allows for a lot of area to attenuate the stormwater and not create more impervious surfaces. And I think it achieves a lot of what you're saying about people wanting to be up on this corner and park and look out in the off-season when the weather's bad. Folks enjoy being able to do that and just watch the weather come in. So the idea of this perimeter circulation, not only does it address the boat trailer and the parking in that perimeter circulation, which is common in a lot of parks, it also provides for this parking sort of dispersed instead of one large site. And then the trail network, would respond to whatever ends up happening with sort of this area of focus and the parking here. I think there's ways to connect, more broadly throughout the park, rather than a single. I guess that'd be my thoughts against putting all the cars in one location, is trying to distribute them and integrate them more with landscaping, and just works a little better with stormwater.
Eric, could I just request it? Yeah, I mean, a tiny bit. Sure. Just trying to match the match again, so like what you have on the screen. So I can see, yeah, here. But I want everybody,
So we also talked about that southern road too as a way to, like, we're talking at the end of it about providing like the containment, you know, it's the space for the RV parks. It makes it safer than, you know, they're not cars driving through the camper space where they are, you know, crossing the roads and, you know, moving around.
Right, you've reduced the number of RVs that CSF would drive by 10. I mean, you still have that whole row that they do drive by.
That
On the way out.
CISF drives by?
Yeah. I'm assuming that we're,
Yeah, you're saying if the circulation pattern is this, right?
Are you saying you don't want CISF to drive by trailers?
no, I thought that's what your
Oh.
point was.
Okay, I was,
I'm just saying, by having 10 down to the east in G, you know, there's 10 more RVs that they drive by. But to your point that, so if I could, well,
I mean, the reason that I'm not, we already kind of said that we're not for that intensification of trailers in G for a variety of reasons. For me, it's the connection, the close connection between CISF and the campers. Neither of those groups want to be near each other.
right.
Right? And there's a lot going on there, and as Cassie mentioned, there's doing the perk test, and there's parking there, so that's.
Okay,
the idea there.
if I could go up and just show you
Sure.
quickly. No, it's, so we could have, we have CSF coming in here, dropping off, and coming back out. But they're going by all these RVs in the process, so it's not totally separate. What CSF has actually suggested at one point was possibly having another road up here. But what if we don't, what if we have that drop off and then just have one cutting down right through here, back out? That way, the traffic pattern for CISF is totally separate, and then the traffic for the campers is separate.
I mean,
Mine,
I guess my feeling is, do people, I don't think we need to get that specific in this. I guess we could, but I think what we would want to do is say, we think that it's important to think about a dedicated drop-off, and there's going to be a lot more of a study happening if there's any traction
Traffic.
on anything that we recommend.
right.
What if you, I mean,
The only thing I'd be careful about is the expression dedicated drop-off. We need a flow that minimizes the potential for conflict between that high volume, short time
yeah,
kind of drop-off window and all the people who are living there
yeah.
or other users.
It's safety too.
Yeah.
Conflict
Yeah.
and safety.
That's my,
Yeah. It has been pointed out that from Tuesday to Thursday, there's not a lot of RV campers there. So we're talking about Monday and Friday probably being the high traffic times.
Probably more boating and other uses.
And, yeah, then, right.
So I'm wondering, Eric, you brought your 4 concepts. We have deliberated these time and again. And are we in a place where we feel like we can make our selections of our favorite, our second favorite, our third favorite, our least favorite? Because I'm,
And can I just add
yeah,
something? We did look at, this is just 3.5, which I think John or Rich had suggested, which was essentially to enclose
Right.
all of the RVs inside of, so it's
The roads.
additional, if you kind of compare the two, so you can see this group of RVs has essentially been folded into this with the idea of defining the campsite in the center. So the shift here is this is
Can you hold it up to the other 62 that you have? That's a 75 you're holding it up to. Can I just see it?
yeah, this is just 3.4, but I can
Yeah.
so you can see.
So the question is really, how do we feel about having those campers over?
So what happens
Yeah.
is this is essentially a new road here rather than reusing pieces
Yeah.
of the road. Right. So this is new
Yeah,
in terms of, you said 4, there's actually sort of 5
yeah.
that we're talking about. And we can flip through them in order if you like.
I'm just wondering, of those 262 numbers, do people have a clear preference? I'm trying to limit our choices to 4 if we can. If not, we can figure it out.
Well, I think from a principal standpoint, I think 3.5 is attractive over
Me
the other.
too.
Yeah, because
I-
again, you've encircled, and it means that the traffic is
Okay.
on the external perimeter.
Does everyone
as opposed
agree
to-
with that?
I agree.
Richard? Okay, okay. Yeah, I don't know, is it in here?
It is, it's the last page in his presentation.
Oh,
Right, here,
yeah.
here. Okay. Yes, polarized.
So I appreciate this because we had, at our last meeting, talked about whether we would put extra sites either to the south or to the north there. And then we arrived at like possibly moving the road, and then it kind of consolidated everything, which I think makes it safer because then we're not, you know, it works with the traffic flow.
And it works with our principle of trying to consolidate.
Right.
And this still means,
They're just folded into these rows that we basically added across this. There's 6, so essentially this end of that. This ends up being a new road. Yes, it's right here. Correct. Instead of using it right there.
I do have one question on that photo, and it goes. As everybody knows, I'm in favor of status quo. That photo, or the one you just showed me, I like it. If the bathroom, the upper bathroom, were to be eliminated, then that carries that row where you could put partway down that section. Let me find out. So you'd almost, not Lot D, but between Lot D and Lot B, you could put a singular row of campers, and that way you'd still keep your vegetation between that and CISF. Because right now, if the bathroom is left, the power already runs down past that. So if you were to say, whatever the number is, I'm just throwing, that concept is nice, but the numbers aren't agreed upon, and I don't know if we'll ever agree on them. But if the bathroom were to be removed, which seems to be the consensus, is to carry that row of campers down, since it's all new roads, and part of C is going to be parking, or part of D is going to be parking, you're not really taking away much value by extending the campers down that avenue.
okay, so what you're saying is effectively extending the boundary of B to the north.
Yes.
Okay, and just for
And
what
it
it's
could
worth.
even be, since you're putting new roads in, it could even be A by a tiny bit, so you get your
Yeah,
73 or 75. Again, it's just a concept.
for what it's worth, I don't want to see Lot D and C turned into parking lots either. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that's where boat trailers are going to go.
Well, remember, last time we talked about how do we use Lot G for boat trailers.
Right.
Then if you use Lot G for boat trailers, then now you're turning something else into a parking lot.
No, it's already parking. It's already dedicated parking.
It's dedicated parking for overflow for the campers, camp visitors, and for pavilion use, and for CISF use. So I'm not sure you can steal G and put boat trailers in there. Because if you launch your boat, they'd be closing it off for every time there's an event. So you have your boat now, it's designated boat parking, and you pull in and say, you can't park here, we have an event at 1 o'clock.
The idea is it's not the only boat trailer location, but it was, even rather than commit, if we're talking about trying to consolidate activities so that there's more open space around the edges, then I was thinking we were discussing how to commit G and the edges of the eastern edge of the road to more boat trailers, and or limiting the number of boat trailers that come in at some time at certain times.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you limit anything
Okay.
going in there, because I don't think there's enough access to count. We got 12 trailers. We've got 16 people parking, 8 people going out in boats. I'm not sure how you regulate specific use at any time. Once you open it up to the public, you can't be specifically isolating one part from using the park. I don't think, unless you have a
Okay.
mandatory 8 count.
Okay, well, the discussion we had last time was just having a cumulative count over the course of the day at the gatehouse.
That is doable, having a sum total number of trailers allowed. It would start with whoever is opening the park up in the morning, having them travel down to the assigned trailer parking area or areas, after which they would then come back. If it's determined that there's 20 trailers will be allowed in the park. If there happens to be 10 of them already on site because they came in prior to the park opening, then the gate would monitor until 10 additional came in, took up space, and if one or two happened to leave during that same time period, the number allowed would reflect how many spots are still open.
And what would you do if 5 Islanders, residents came, and they were told to turn around? I don't think that would go over well.
It wouldn't be well received, but if there's no spot for them, it's already practice in other sites.
Well, the other thing is, I'm assuming a number of islanders would say, fine, let me just drop the boat and I'll take the trailer home.
They have nowhere to put the boat if they're alone. The touch and go dock, you can't be there more than 20 minutes, if that's even built. Sometimes I think we're overanalyzing all of this.
Yeah.
Me too, I agree. I was going to say, what are we trying to solve here right now? So,
I just put the idea out that I wouldn't assume that C and D are parking lots,
yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
As we're thinking about,
Can we see
the
the
other problem.
70 that you have, or the 75 that you had, the concepts that you have with 70 and 75?
This is the 75.
Yeah, also not over in that side. Yeah.
Isn't it a guarantee that F is going to be left open? That's one of the givens, it seems to be.
yeah, that's true.
So
mean, I
if
think
we could
all of these plans-
finalize areas that you're going to definitely leave open, we can get a little closer to where we need to be.
Right, and I think we're there. I think that we are there. Yeah.
A question for you, Eric. I see there's no lower bathroom or parking. Is that
We just kinda-
TBD or?
We've been sort of focused on this.
Okay.
It does need to be integrated, you do need to provide parking. I think the town has a concept to rehabilitate the existing restroom. There's also a concept to build a new restroom that was put forward a couple years ago. I think the idea was, is this one necessary? If not, there's
Right.
already some options on the ground.
And we recommended this, right? We make the elimination of the upper renovation or rebuilding. So I'm just curious, do people feel like with these 4 concepts, doing the newer version of 62, do you have what you need to kind of pick your first, second, third, and fourth? So that we can then direct Eric to really focus on that. Again, we can have a minority report, we can have plenty of notes around whatever we're choosing. Curious.
Can I
You
just
good?
make sure I understand? So
Yeah.
we have 3.4, which is 75. We have 3.3, which is 70. We have 3.5, which is the 62.
62, yeah,
And then we have,
50.
yeah, but that's
3.1?
3.1. Okay, got it.
Okay, we good?
And just one question. in terms of the size of the lot, I see we've gone to 36 by 60.
We aren't there yet, I
Has
don't
everyone
think.
agreed?
I don't think, I think at the next meeting, we have to narrow in on those things.
Oh,
I mean, they are assumed here.
They're assumed.
But if we looked at those other policies that Ray had sent to us,
Right.
I mean, I'm fine with whatever you guys decide on that. But I think that we'll talk about some of those more detailed fencing, you know,
Right.
decks.
Let me ask a question about that, though, with respect to the width. I mean, in theory, we shrink the size. Once you've decided the footprint that you want to let RVs cover, if you shrink the size, you might be able to fit in another one or two.
Right.
Right? Or three
Yeah.
or four, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. At this point, I think I will take myself out of the voting.
no,
for
you have to
these,
vote. You can't take yourself out of the voting.
And I will,
You
come
can vote on
forward
whatever
with a
you want.
minority.
No, but you can,
design.
why don't yours might be the first one, you don't know that. I mean, really, any of us could be doing a minority. Richard might be doing a minority for 75, right. So, I mean, you have to give you've been part of this, you've been very much a part of it lately, and so I think that everybody needs to make their opinions, okay? So do you have time, John, for a quick vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
I have time until noon.
okay, does everyone else? Can you put stickers on your drawings?
They're yours.
Stickers come off?
Where can we put the,
We can line them up in the center of the table if you'd like to just see them all together, or is that
or on
useful?
chairs?
Or down the road?
Yeah, you could set them up
No,
here.
let's
if
move
you want.
Okay, so what we have is a sticker system, people.
All right.
And the key is on there.
Why don't we, well, I was going to put them this way because that way we can put them all on. Right, they'll be on the perimeter, we can see four sides of them.
That's the system.
I'm colorblind.
Are you colorblind?
Well, you have 4.
On one, 3 of another.
Don't overlook the one stray.
Yeah, the one stray. So the code is on your envelope. The 4 green are the first pick. So ultimately, the one that gets the most dots is our first. It might be somebody's second, it might be somebody's third. So you might get picked, you might win because everyone chooses it as a second, but then.
So we're only voting on iteration 3. Okay.
Yeah, orange is second choice, pink is third, and the little one is your last choice.
Right, we have the ability to pull in and park around these edges.
That way, it's more, it's open space here or there. You mentioned not having to go around.
Could go. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe if you vote, you can also say to be modified, to be amended.
Because this land is already,
Let's see, that's not lines here.
yeah, so this land is really nothing, so if you carry this in and kept your plantings here, like you had.
The buffer, the
Yeah.
buffer.
So if you move some of these to here, and then we figure out the size.
Richard.
No, we brought this up last week.
Yeah.
About getting this, making this semi-parking to access all of these amenities at top.
Yeah, right.
But we had no
But
choice.
offsetting this, so that would keep your number closer
Yeah,
to
so you
the
just
same.
slide, not this one, it just be the upper half down. And then the width that we decide on. It makes a lot of sense. I didn't think it would come up today.
Let me understand that, yeah, let me get something drawn while you're talking about that, but.
Because the bathroom's going, which on here is almost going anyway, because of the road configuration.
It's right, it's there today, right.
But if you were to get rid of it, since the electricity is already here, we're talking about keeping the electric in the zone.
Okay.
But this is, and that opens up, for Bill's point of view, it opens up all of this by moving those right here into dead space because ISF is here. So this becomes a kind of a dead space. Like the trees are separated to here somewhere.
Yeah, there are issues, it seems, here as you get
because it's it's the accumulation of all, so.
No, they're separate, CIS says
Separate stickers, I thought I could divide.
Yeah, no, you can't, that's,
So we're modifying this on the plan?
no, we're not.
I didn't understand that.
We are not modifying them. We're voting now on concepts, so.
Is that what we're talking about? Roughly the
Because you
same?
want to open that up. This is the one I'm gonna vote on, but this is a modification of that.
So these six would then
Yeah,
make their way down.
into this area, not down here.
Just
that.
extend just this row.
Yeah. Yeah, almost even with the perimeter of the CISF, but
Conceptually, okay.
conceptual.
So it would be, if you voted for this, it would be, to be empty.
Because that way it covers, people want that open, I want 75, so it's just, but
Here's your 75.
what's that?
Here's your 75.
Yeah, I like, that is given to me, that's open.
Yeah? You want that open?
The top, oh yeah, we talked about that
Okay.
right away, that should be,
All right,
that's a
gee, I
given.
might want to change my vote then.
To me, that should be open. Just because, we're trying to get more space.
I
Originally, I wanted
know.
it here, but it makes sense if, I don't know, just after last week's meeting when they talked about, I guess, with, I don't know what they call it, little pavilions or little tents, or,
Yeah, we don't,
but they were huts. Whatever they were.
we don't want huts. What are you gonna do? How are we gonna do this?
But that's a modification, see
I
the
like it.
picture.
I don't know why I don't like it. This one. I'll train my votes. You have to put 4 of your green, and 3, you have to do all 4 for your first, all 3 for your second, all
So
2.
you vote for all the same.
You have either all first, so the total number of stickers.
You can only vote on one drawing.
Right, so one,
Did you see what it was?
that's because this is Cassie's first choice, John's first choice, my first choice.
Oh, so that's also,
That's Cassie's first choice, 4 stickers, so we have 12 votes because it's the first choice.
oh, so I can put my 4 on that.
You can put your 4 in that, if you want it to be your first choice, you can put your,
But not on the same, you can't put all your stickers on the same.
No, but you can put all your first.
All your
yeah,
first.
yeah, your first,
That's
all
all I care
first.
about.
I know, you gotta vote, everybody vote for second, third,
Yes,
fourth.
yes.
Where's the rest of yours?
And you should,
Where's your envelope? You had it in your No, that's just the key. Just because it has been written on it. So you know who's voted.
mess things up.
Most resourceful,
Yeah.
taking them off the legend.
Stick it right in the south of that.
Cover up your first, quite short of stickers. Did you vote all of them? You've already done your second choice. I'm assuming, oh no, those are Rich's, right? All right, you haven't done a second choice or a third choice.
Oh, I need, oh. What's my third? Oh, my third choice. Yeah, no, that's, I was gonna throw in a third choice over there.
No, you have one third choice.
Oh, I see.
Is this right here?
Yeah, that's the,
I'll give you a new one.
Can I just say something once everyone has placed their votes? I want to make sure that the, I'm going to call it the water user community is well represented here. And when I think about how the park is used, sure. Not only by the people with boats, but also by windsurfers and everything else.
Just let everyone vote first.
Yes.
And your final choice?
Um,
You have a little bitty, you have one more sticker there. Or did you put it down?
You have those little
There
TV.
there are only four of
Wait
them.
a second.
It's your fourth
I think
choice.
I'm doing the wrong thing because,
Here it is.
Small.
That's your last choice.
The one you prefer least.
oh, God.
You have four choices and you had 4 votes.
Jesus. I didn't want to vote for anything else. All right. This is my last.
Okay, so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
This is my second choice. And then the last choice. Okay, this is my
So
third.
that's 62. That's
I think is your third choice.
Sorry. All right.
You got anything
That's
else?
my last.
Hold on.
Is that it? That's my last?
Yeah.
You have 9
It is.
there, John?
Yep.
Okay.
So, this is 3?
3.3 is this one?
Yeah. 4.
And then 3.5, and 3.1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so 3.1, 3.3 got 12. 3.4 got 9, which was the 7.5. And then 3.5, 62, got 17. So that is the preferred. The least preferred is 3.1. So that gives direction. I think that's good. But Eric?
Yeah, just jotting it down. I don't know if anyone wants to speak to the thoughts behind their selection, like Richard had said, like this, but thinking about something, a modification of that. I don't know if there's any other details that's voted. But I think, we can look at that.
Well, I can tell you right now, I mean, back to, I don't like where we haven't been able to internalize the campers. I like the perimeter road.
Conceptually, like
We have a perimeter road there, we have a perimeter road there.
'Cause I think there's a legal limit over the road anyway.
Yeah,
so
right.
Somewhere around 40.
But one of my sense, and when we write this up, what united us is the ability to have more consolidated green space.
Yes.
Maybe we get there, distributed parking, reducing congestion down here.
So it's a footprint the town can work with,
Yeah,
pretty much.
I think that's good.
I have one question on block 22, since we haven't really been focusing on that for next time.
Yep.
And the question of, is there, what would the space be that we would use for the maintenance shed of the bathroom? And is there any additional space for parking? Have we totally ruled that out?
Sure, we do have some slots on it, just depends on how much time. We did look at the building, we did look at layout, yeah,
Do it next time.
push it out to us. But yes, we started to look at your question.
You were here, we had to say about.
Yes, please.
Okay, so, I mean, the thrust of the committee has been on RV parking, and, there's been talk of parking for vehicles and boats and trailers and stuff. But there's more than just boats and trailers. There's a lot of folks that come down, and especially if we do get a touch and go dock, there's gonna be even more demand for the use of that ramp. We just completed a maintenance project on the ramp, making it a bit more usable than it was before. And I see quite frequently, early mornings, there's a whole host of folks that come down and kiteboard that I can't imagine they're gonna wanna walk a kiteboard from a parking lot.
Yeah, they're kiteboarding off of that north.
Yeah,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
all use that all the time. People would-
Yes, and they have the luxury or convenience today of literally parking right there.
Right, exactly.
So I would urge you to, I totally understand and appreciate your want to grow green space, but there are some effects that take place down here that make it less practical by making someone walk from here with a kiteboard, or canoe, or whatever they happen to have on the top of their vehicle, that this space serves it well today. And you should, I'd urge you to consider finding a way to save some space in that area.
And they're not parking where you can park next to the beach?
No,
Yeah.
not right along here.
I mean,
Sometimes they do,
Yeah.
but sometimes
Yeah,
they
there are
don't.
not a lot of spots there. I mean, I completely buy it. Wing foiler myself, one of the reasons I like this big open is because you can then, that's where you crash when you're not sailing. Doesn't mean I wouldn't feel bad if somebody said, fine, load your gear here, put your car, come back, collect your gear, go.
Yeah.
That happens at loads of parks.
Yep.
where People sail off
Yep.
the water, so.
I have put forth a concept for kind of curb parking for both boats and trailers in here. I just walked it though, it would take grading, so I've not brought that up. But that, if we were willing to grade there, I think the best thing for a boat and trailer would be to be able to pull right into here and then have an exit road, just a dirt road back down out.
The space that would occupy would be significant.
Yeah.
I do like, I don't know, Eric, if you've had a chance to determine the number of car spaces in this spot and whether or not one side, the west side, could be used for cars pulling straight in, and then the east side could be used for angled boat and truck and trailers so that they can get out easily. Because if you make parking a truck and trailer a challenge, it will be poorly used.
Flow through.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right. So we looked at that a little bit more and we can continue, we have the boat and trailer around this, right, we can talk about it here. And then we're looking at some diagonal
Yep.
back ends through
Yep.
here. And I don't see any reason that this can't be used flexibly, however, whether it's parking on a Saturday.
Yep.
It's, the idea is keeping it open as
Yep.
much as possible.
Yep.
And so if the need is there, or there's a regatta or something, then, maybe it's organized in a
I'm
certain way.
gonna end the meeting if we can't.
Some of them
hold it.
provide-
It's please.
Okay, no,
is their primary A, right, through where the workshop is, and then they have flex here. And I think that there's probably a functional relationship because it's between, you know, the built facility and the ramp. This is lay down and staging. They do have a water garden, a rain garden in here, water quality feature. So they do have a structure that is part of their facility that's located in this space. So it's integrated into the landscape to some degree, but there's some features there and a walking path connecting.
So the flex space is really not flex space.
Well, some of it's dedicated to some of their uses, right? And then whatever the remainder is entirely open for parking or lay down. And I don't know how flex has really been defined with the town.
That's what I'm just asking, Ray, what the
Yeah,
flex
it's,
definition.
we have conversations with CISF and if they have a request to use, you know, hey, we're gonna use this space for this, if we need to use that space too, we just kind of communicate with each other, and that's what it means. It just gives everyone the freedom to work within the frame of like, hey, can we use the space? Hey, we're gonna use the space, and try to figure that out, rather than saying, hey, this lease says exactly this, has to be exactly that. I think that's what the thought was behind it. You know, my other thought is, I think to Marissa's point, this report's coming out in June, we're gonna be in the season in a couple weeks, right? So we're gonna have a whole summer to collect data on boat trailers, on how I'm gonna, you know, measure people's decks, all of that stuff. So when it comes to the council level, after they've gone through this report, and I can say, hey, from what the committee has put forth in this report, I've collected some really relevant data that we didn't collect in the past because it wasn't relevant to collect. So that'll help drive the details of what we're all talking about, where they're all important, and I think putting into the report that, hey, these are considerations that we need to look at, but we also need to collect the data this summer to help drive where it goes.
Perfect. Now, one question. There's some rumors of problems, issues every now and then. I'm not saying what they are, but people talk about overpopulation with cars here or there.
Yeah.
If there's ever an issue, is it possible to have your staff take a picture, document it?
Yeah, we do. So all our staff, or our ranger staff, they have ship reports, and they have ability from their, you know, mobile devices when they fill out their ship reports to take pictures, to tag other staff members, maintenance staff, myself, Leela, who manages the park. So even from the last 2 years, we have some of that, and we'll continue to collect that. So for example, this year in our daily reports, in their ship reports, it's going to say how many boat trailers did you see come in, like at peak of the day, and they're going to report that. And we can look at that on a spreadsheet over the whole summer, and we'll see that kind of go up and down. And then, you know, where were the issues? There's always descriptors of, you know, we had XYZ issue, this is how we handled it, or it needs to be followed up with the next day. So we do collect that data.
But I just wanted to get at pictures, because
Yeah, yep.
everybody's issue is different.
Right, yeah,
So let's say when they talk about the only trailer parking here,
right,
when it's an issue, take a picture, because it may be an issue for somebody with a super wide,
right,
and it's not an issue for 2 regular trucks.
right.
But that way it's easy to
Yeah.
document, that it's only once it happens, so why are we worrying about it?
So what we can do is just say, in that ship report, they have the ability to take a picture and upload it into the report, say, list how many trailers, boat trailers you saw, and take a picture at the peak of the day, where you're like, hey, here's 10 or 15 or whatever.
It's like an Amazon package.
And then you
take
can,
a picture
right,
so you know you got it.
and then you can see if they're dinghies, if they're big boats, if they're what kind of size trailers, what trucks, what kind of things are there, so you can really parse out what the actual issue is. It just, do we need to section off, you know, this is for smaller boats and this is for bigger boats, or whatever it may be, to utilize the space more efficiently.
Great.
Okay, so for our next meeting, so thank you, everyone. This has been really, I think, super productive meeting. And so for the next one, Cassie, you're going to work with Ray on just the general policies beyond the ones.
Okay.
And so we'll review policies not yet discussed, again, with the plan to have recommendations for the report coming out of that meeting. The Fort Whiting, we'll go through those slides, Eric, with you then, that you've done already. And then Lot 22, focus on that with the storage facility, what that looks like, parking, whatever. And maybe we can nail down some of these parking options to put in the report. Anything else?
I was going to type up the notes and what I've learned about the stage or space.
Okay,
Yeah.
the amphitheater thing. And are you thinking just for information? Great.
So it'll be portable.
What do you mean?
You're talking about the amphitheater kind of style would be portable, talking stages, or are you talking about a
Well,
permanent
that's what you
concrete?
proposed. I look at Fort Adams, so I could include that.
I was being a little bit facetious because
Okay.
Fort Adams is just
Okay.
grass.
Okay.
And they have the largest music event, you know, on the East Coast, certainly, and they have multiple, and they don't have any amphitheaters, so.
We, my comment, on other parks, we've been involved with sound studies,
Mm-hmm.
where they got seriously interested in amphitheater and performances.
Mm-hmm.
So you might consider that, or at least make that a recommendation, because there's infrastructure, there's investment in an amphitheater and the stage and so on, if it's formalized. There may be portions of the site that really aren't appropriate. You know, it's green and it's open, but the sound is gone. You know, the audience won't be able to hear it.
That was what NK's DPW said. Consider the sound and the direction that the sound
Yeah, and so
travels.
there are entities that do those kind of studies that specifically look at.
I mean, are we going to end up having a conversation about whether we want to recommend one and how to go about it? Because I am not for having a solid, in-place amphitheater.
I'm not either, but you live across the harbor, both of you. How would the noise be?
Which way is the wind blowing?
It's going to blow your way, it's southwest.
I know.
How do you hear the bagpipes?
I'm not opposed.
The point is, on days when it's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
prevailing, then it's different. So,
I'm not opposed to concerts
neither.
I know.
or
yeah.
events or dance or, you know, Island Dance Company
I see
coming
this
in.
just as information. We've heard,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of gathering information, responding to what people have said. You know, some interest from the community. So
I'd be all in favor of fireworks, because I can see them really well. But yeah, I don't, as
We
long
used
as.
to do it there with the
Yeah,
Family
right,
Day. Not
exactly.
quite 5,000 people, but we
Right,
definitely
right,
had Family Day
exactly.
with fireworks.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, if there's limits, like not beyond 10 p.m., something that's, I'm sure, fine.
That's a law already.
Probably a law anyway, yes. I mean, I hear Newport Folk Festival and Jazz Festival.
Of course, yeah. I can hear the roar of the Newport Bridge. But look, I think we all agreed the principle that says relatively asset light, as little concrete as we can get away with, I think, is, at least that was my interpretation of that principle. And I think with the idea of amphitheater or concerts, you know, in a lot of ways, I know there's been a lot of AI drawings of amphitheaters, but you know, they all involve a lot of concrete. And unlike the volleyball nets, I haven't heard one promoter say, you know, what I really need is an amphitheater in Jamestown. I'm worried that we're thinking about assets ahead of demand.
Oh, so, okay, one of the other things I learned too is that, like, I talked to the head of parks in Providence, and they have Water Place. It's an amphitheater/stage, and they're renovating it right now, and my delay has been because they were gonna send me the plans, but it's not revenue generating, like it is, you know, it is a community space that, you know, for community activities. So like PVD Fest happens there, and the same with North Kingstown. They have, you know, a big structure, and they recommended against a roof, which would align with our, you know, if we were to do anything, it would just be some kind of open, they're recommending some kind of open space, open platform stage. But again, it's not like a big moneymaker. It's more for the community and for the people to kind of come together. And that we heard that in the survey, that people would like to use the park that way.
I agree.
But do you need an amphitheater?
Well, I don't know. It
Sorry,
is a space. You kind of carve out a space for these community activities to happen, I think. So.
I guess, again, you know, people are talking about Family Day. The RVs were there during Family Day, and there were no spaces. And we do have a pavilion now, which we didn't have then. I'm totally for more events and activities. And again, Island Moving Company, we could do something there. If there's organizers that want to have concerts or weekend music festivals for, I'd be for that. I don't know about the neighbors, but I don't think we need a built-in amphitheater for that. I think you just
Or
need
stage,
stages.
I guess.
Yeah, stages. I mean, that's why I brought up Fort Adams. It's just a big open field. And then they have the jazz festival and the folk festival for years and years and years. And it's not limited by concrete or so I appreciate your work on this. And of course, if you want to do it, do it. And we can include the research that you've done, but I don't know that we would be recommending it.
Yeah, but it would be helpful since you've gone down that path just to provide it,
Okay.
and we'll, feed it in as we feel
With
appropriate.
the appendix, that's fine.
Just a last comment is, certain infrastructure would make sense if there is a space that lends itself to performance. So even if it's not a built stage, right, it's just a grass space, but like electrical capacity, the ability to host an event, you want to plan for that even
That's true.
conceptually and say in the future we might extend to this area or that area to support mics and lights and things like that. Yeah, it's important to talk about now, even if that piece is down the line.
Right.
Yeah, and there is a concrete platform in, I don't know if that's area D, the middle area to the north, that if it were, turned into a patio with, some, as a terrace, it could be, if there was electricity there, it would be great for a band to set up or anyone to set up and play to people. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we don't have to do much. Right, exactly.
No, I just want to, one last thing on the amphitheater. There was, 7%? Yet there's 90% want open space.
Well, it's also come
freedom.
up in past surveys too. It's not.
So, yeah, but the numbers aren't close.
Right.
So keeping it all natural covers both. You can still use it as an amphitheater, but the highest numbers want open green space, so nothing structural. That's all. It's just because we're saying that everybody wants it, but it's such a small percentage compared to the people who want the open space and the freedom to use the park for what they want.
Okay, yeah, great. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Bye.